What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bigfoot Report. We've got a few more we want to share with you today, Miss Tiffany and myself. First off, we're going to be talking about Bigfoot at Camp Hardwood. Then we're going to tell you all about Mr. Terry's story. We're going to finish it off with Bigfoot Vandalizes a campsite. Guys, if you have any encounters that you would like to have narrated by Miss Tiffany or myself, please send those over to the Bigfoot Report podcast at gmail.com. We would love to get those out for you. All right, guys, that's about it. I know you're ready. We are ready. Sit back, relax. Let's get started.
Encounter at Camp Hardwood. Witness observes Bigfoot behavior in Kitchie Wilderness. Tim Murray, a participant in an open invite event by the SBA, was researching Bigfoot and had prior camping experience in the area. The date was September 16th of 2018 in the Kitchie Wilderness. On September 16, 2018, Tim Murray and a companion named Brian Henn experienced an encounter with what they believed was a Sasquatch in the Kitchie Wilderness, specifically at a location known as Camp Hardwood. The encounter came after several days of camping and exploring the area, which had already been characterized by unsettling feelings and strange sounds, including wood knocks and eerie howls. The witnesses initially arrived in the area, feeling a sense of unease upon entering the woods. As they parked their vehicle and walked deeper into the hardwood area, they noticed the atmosphere was really eerie, and an unsettling feeling grew as they started discussing the phenomenon of wood knocks, sounds often associated with Bigfoot activity. Brian and Tim felt as though they were being watched, and both experienced a physical reaction, with the hair on their arms standing on end. During their exploration, a doe suddenly dashed past them, which they speculated might have been chased by a predator, like a coyote or a bear. The two men then proceeded to examine the area further and began hearing more noises that they could not identify. They noticed falling from the trees, which they initially interpreted as acorns or small branches. However, they continued falling, and the sound sparked their curiosity further. While investigating these sounds, Tim turned his attention to a nearby burnt stump and noticed movement. He described it as something black peeking over the stump. He quickly communicated with Brian, urging him to come and observe this unusual sight. Tim instructed Brian to use his peripheral vision to catch a glimpse of whatever was behind the stump. As they both focused on the stump, they observed a large creature that they described as having no neck, a human-like face, and being covered in hair. Tim noted that the creature's head would rise and fall, indicating it was actively watching them. Upon closer observation, they confirmed that the creature's height was significant, estimating it to be around 8 feet tall or possibly taller. As they continued to observe, the creature became aware of their presence, stirring an immediate sense of shock and disbelief in both witnesses. Tim and Brian were transfixed, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. Tim noted, "I was just shocked and couldn't believe what I was watching." The creature would intermittently raise its head over the stump, allowing both men to see it clearly. It exhibited curious behavior, seemingly trying to gauge their intentions while simultaneously attempting to remain hidden. At one point, it moved along the ground, drawing nearer to the witnesses before retreating behind the stump again. Brian eventually left to retrieve equipment to document their encounter, leaving Tim to maintain visual contact with the creature. As Brian was absent, Tim noted the creature's movements and its increasing agitation. suggesting it may have been upset that they had disturbed its hunting grounds. Eventually, the creature slipped below the stump and disappeared from sight. After this encounter, both witnesses chose to return to their campsite, discussing their experience extensively throughout the evening. They expressed a mixture of excitement and skepticism, grappling with the implications of what they had seen. Tim reflected on his certainty of the encounter, estimating that he was 95% sure of what he had witnessed despite a lingering doubt. Following this incident, both Tim and Brian would later return to the area, hoping for another encounter. Their experience at Camp Hardwood significantly impacted their views on the existence of Bigfoot and stimulated further investigation into the phenomenon. In summary, Tim Murray and Brian Henn's encounter at Camp Hardwood in the Kitchie Wilderness on September 16th of 2018 was marked by personal testimonies of witnessing an alleged Bigfoot. Their detailed observations of the creature's behavior and physical characteristics contribute to the ongoing discourse surrounding the existence of Sasquatch in the region.
Mr. Terry detailed his Bigfoot encounter while discussing his experiences in the National Forest in Alabama during the 1980s. Although he initially hesitated to share his story, he felt compelled to recount the events of that day, marked by an inexplicable presence in the woods. Mr. Terry grew up in Montgomery, Alabama, and was raised in a household that faced challenges early on, including the death of his father when he was only 5 years old. Despite these hardships, he developed a strong affinity for outdoor activities, particularly hunting and fishing, which he pursued passionately throughout his life. He spent considerable time in the woods, primarily deer hunting, which provided him with a wealth of experience in tracking and observing wildlife. The encounter occurred around 1984 or 85, during a time when he was taking time off work to engage in his hunting, particularly during the rutting season of deer. Mr. Terry noted that he was eager to take advantage of the last week of the season when deer were most active, but circumstances at work prevented him from taking the time desired. On the day of the encounter, he described being in the National Forest, specifically near Lubro Road, that is known to have thick, swampy areas that could conceal various animals. As he was in the woods, he began to experience strange occurrences that suggested he was not alone. He recalled an overwhelming sense of being watched, often accompanied by rustling sounds in the brush and unusual breaks in the natural noise of the forest, which usually includes birds and small animals. The atmosphere shifted when he noticed a significant disturbance in the foliage, as if something large had moved through. Mr. Terry, accustomed to the sounds of the forest, felt a wave of unease wash over him. He described the feeling of being observed, which heightened his senses, making him aware of every sound and shift in the environment. While he didn't see the creature clearly at first, he described glimpses of movement that did not align with any known animal behavior. The size and shape of the figure he caught a sight of were unlike that of deer or other common wildlife in the area. He felt the creature was elusive, blending into the surroundings almost effortlessly, yet he could sense its massive stature. Mr. Terry noted that his experience of hearing branches snapping and feeling an inexplicable pressure in the air was unnerving. It was as if something was moving deliberately to remain hidden, yet was very much aware of his presence. At one point, he believed he heard a vocalization that was unlike any animal sound he had encountered in his years of outdoor activities. It was deep, guttural, and echoed through the trees, further compounding his sense of dread and curiosity. He recounted that despite his extensive experience in the woods, he had never encountered anything like it before. The event sparked a lifelong interest and curiosity about the creature known as Bigfoot, leading him to connect with others who share similar encounters and beliefs. His experience in the national forest left a lasting impression on him, instilling a sense of wonder and desire to understand the nature of the entity he believed he had encountered. Mr. Terry's description of the encounter aligns with many typical reports of Bigfoot sightings, where witnesses often describe a feeling of a sense of being watched, encountering unusual sounds, and seeing large shadowy figures in dense woodland areas. His encounter serves as a reminder of the mysteries that the forest can hold and the experiences that connect people with the lore of Bigfoot. In summary, Mr. Terry's recounting of his experience in the National Forest reflects a deep connection to nature and a lifelong passion for the outdoors. His story contributes to the rich tapestry of Bigfoot lore and adds another layer to the ongoing exploration of this elusive creature that many believe exists in the wilderness of Alabama.
Encounters large bipedal creature while investigating vandalism at Northridge campsites. On an unknown date in September of 2024, Ranger Collins, a forest ranger with 15 years of service, responded to reports of vandalism at the Northridge campsites in Sawtooth National Recreation Area. Previous reports indicated that food storage containers had been raided, and scattered camping gear was found at the site. However, this incident was peculiar as the containers appeared to have been crushed, and unusual prints were discovered, prompting further investigation. Upon arriving at the trailhead, Collins noted an eerie quietness in the forest, devoid of the usual wildlife sounds, which heightened his awareness of being watched. He gathered his gear, including a flashlight, pepper spray, and camera, before venturing down the trail. Approximately half a mile in, he encountered a campsite that had been heavily damaged. The food locker, designed to withstand bear interactions, was torn open, and camping equipment was littered across a wide area. While documenting the scene, he spotted a footprint that was significantly larger than his size 12 boot, suggesting that the creature responsible was much larger than a bear. As he continued to investigate, Collins felt an increasing pressure of being surveilled. He followed a trail of prints that were consistent and bipedal, ruling out bear activity. The trail led him deeper into the woods, where the atmosphere grew heavier with tension. Suddenly, a low growl reverberated through the trees, unlike any bear or mountain lion sounds he had encountered before. Turning his flashlight towards the source, Collins caught a glimpse of a massive figure, approximately 8 to 9 feet tall, standing between two trees. The creature was covered in dark fur, and its face bore primitive human-like features with deep-set eyes that reflected the light in an unsettling red glow. Collins was frozen in fear, recognizing that he was witnessing something extraordinary. The creature's enormous size and predatory stance made his survival instincts kick in, and he began to slowly back away while keeping his flashlight trained on the creature. To his dismay, the radio crackled to life, causing the creature to shift its attention momentarily. As he attempted to respond, the static returned, isolating him in the growing darkness. After a few moments, the creature lifted its head, revealing a powerful, muscular build, and it dropped into a crouch. At that moment, the startled deer burst from underneath, and the creature reacted with astonishing speed, capturing the deer mid-leap. The sound of bones breaking resonated throughout the forest, filling Collins with dread as he witnessed this creature's brutal feeding behavior. In shock, he failed to control his foot placement, snapping a twig that drew the creature's focus back to him. The sight of blood and gore dripping from the creature sent waves of nausea through Collins. Attempting to document the encounter, he fumbled with his camera. As he took a picture, the flash illuminated the creature briefly, revealing its terrifying visage, and it unleashed a primal roar of rage that echoed through the clearing. The creature charged, closing the distance between them in mere strides. Collins stumbled backward, losing his footing and dropping his camera into the underbrush. The last image he had of the creature was of its horrifying form towering over him, and as the smell of decay and wet fur filled the air. As darkness enveloped the clearing, Collins' instinct screamed at him to escape from the predatory presence he had encountered. Throughout the entire episode, Collins maintained a remarkable composure, taking note of the creature's details, size, and behavior. The encounter with the unidentified creature left a profound impact on him, marking a haunting chapter in his career as a ranger. The specifics of the incident reflect the need for caution and awareness in regions where such extraordinary wildlife may linger, as well as highlighting the potential for continued unexplained phenomena in the depths of the wilderness.